Welcome back, Dr. Sandy Jameson, joining us on the show from the Cat Hospital of Kamloops. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Yes, and who do we have joining us today?
We have Milo, who's a 7-year-old cat, an orange tabby.
Good-looking kitty cat.
Isn't he beautiful?
And he seems quite relaxed in this setting, doesn't he?
Well, I brought him here in my car, and he was not happy with the cold car.
Telling you what he thought about it. He seems very happy. Has he been the victim of what we're talking about today, or...?
Well, he's been the recipient of the vomiting question. I wanted to show you his tummy here. It's
there we go.
Yeah, you could see the staples there. He had surgery just about 10 days ago.
Yes.
And the reason I thought it would be good to talk about this is because it's common for people to think that a cat vomits hairballs, or they vomit grass, or they eat too fast and they vomit. And the reality is that it isn't normal at all. And we used to think it, I would have said to people years ago, yeah, sure, that's normal. But we've learned by doing investigations that this is not normal and it should be looked into. And I used an analogy of, if a cat's vomiting, think about it if it was yourself. Would you think that vomiting twice a month is normal?
No.
Not. So he came in, he wasn't well. We did some blood tests, everything looked okay, but we clearly knew he had a problem. So we took some x-rays, and the x-rays showed that he wasn't good there. And he would have been vomiting with the amount of gas he had. So we went and did an exploratory surgery, and we take samples of a whole bunch of tissues there so we can diagnose what's going on in the whole abdomen. And what was really amazing with Milo is that the pathologist came up with a diagnosis of stomach worms. And this is, well, I've been in practice 45 years, and I've never made that diagnosis. That is so rare. But fortunately, the treatment is simple because we get him on a medication that's specific for those worms, treat all the cats in the family, we're done.
Sure.
Yeah.
We were talking on the break about how cats will go and eat grass and then throw up, and I said, but isn't that normal?
And it isn't. It isn't. When a cat goes out to eat grass, we used to think it was normal. Maybe they like the taste of grass or whatever, but what we now know is that they're eating grass because they have a gastrointestinal irritation and they want to do something to make themselves vomit, so they eat grass.
I always thought they just liked the taste of it and then they throw up. I didn't know they're trying to get something out, so that's very interesting. So would you say, what, once a month if a cat throws up, don't get too fussed up, but if it's more than that? Like, how do you know when it's getting serious? Well,
again, if we use the person analogy, so if it was you, even once a month you'd think, gee, I've got a problem, you know, but definitely more than once a month is just don't ignore it. And one of the things that I've got, in the last 2 weeks, we've done 4 of these types of investigations, and each one of them has come up with a different diagnosis. Now, one of them came up with a diagnosis of enteritis, inflammatory bowel disease, which we can easily treat. But if it goes undiagnosed, it leads to a diagnosis of one of the other ones we diagnosed, which is cancer of the stomach.
Right, far more serious.
Right, and so we've learned that if it's ignored and it goes on, it can lead to cancer. Okay. And we're trying to prevent that.
We have a poster up on the screen here. Is there anything in particular you wanted to point out?
Yeah, well, it's sort of like a flow chart. I mean, I don't recommend that every cat who vomits come right in and we do an operation on him. I do recommend that we, first of all, make sure he's on a healthy diet, make sure he's free of intestinal parasites. Good, he is. Okay, well, some cats are vomiting because they have a sensitivity to something in the diet. So let's change the diet. Okay, so we do that. Then we think, well, maybe there's an underlying condition somewhere in the body, so we do a blood screen and see, does he have a liver problem or a kidney problem? And all those come up normal, and he's still vomiting, that's when we do the surgery.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Process of elimination at some point, but for people who are seeing their cats throwing up more than they're comfortable with, don't delay, because it could become something more serious if you put it off.
Right. Putting it off is a mistake.
Right.
Yes.
Milo is being lovely, I have to say.
He is absolutely fantastic. His mom will be proud of him.
Yes, yes, and he's had his surgery, so he's all fixed up for the Christmas season. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Jameson.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Milo is staying here, I think, for the whole hour. He just wants to hang out with us. Look at him.
Just slide over to the side.
Yeah, you're going to need a lint remover brush, Dr. Jameson, but that's okay. If you have any questions for Dr. Jameson, information on the screen, 1338 Battle Street as well. You can go and check them out in person if you would like to do that. We are back after a quick break. Stay with us.